Hello everybody, I am back with another video. Today we're going to be revisiting my 3DS collection because while I did film a video last year, my collection has grown a considerable amount since then. There's been a lot of great titles that have come out since then, and I've also kind of gone back and gotten some of those games that I missed out on also. So let's go ahead and dive right in, and first off I'll show you a few of the collector's editions that I have for the 3DS. Alright, so first and foremost, we have the Kingdom Hearts 3D Dream Drop Distance Mark of Mastery Edition. Quite a lot to say there. This was definitely a very, very great entry into the Kingdom Hearts series. Far superior to the DS entries, 358 over 2 days, as well as Recoded. While I did enjoy those games, they were not the highlights of the Kingdom Hearts franchise. But this entry definitely sets itself apart, right up there with Birth by Sleep in my opinion. While I wasn't super impressed with the whole Dream Eater aspect, it was kind of like these Pokemon-like companions that you had throughout the game. It definitely was a new and interesting thing that they added into the game that I don't think we'll see moving forward, hopefully. But again, I thought it was kind of a welcome addition to this entry. But definitely well worth it, and if you're new to the series, this is also a nice entry point because as you progress through the game, you unlock these text, basically summarizations of the previous Kingdom Hearts games. So it tells you all the major plot points, explains who the characters are and how they're related and everything. So if you haven't played a Kingdom Hearts game, this is definitely a nice entry point, but be cautious because the story is pretty mind-boggling and I myself couldn't even really tell you what's going on. Next, we have a game that I never really thought I'd be getting into this series, but I'm glad I did on the 3DS, and this is also a nice entry point into the series, and that is Etrian Odyssey 4, The Legend of the Titan? Legends of the Titan is the subtitle there. I was fortunate enough to get the little mini collector's edition here with the soundtrack and mini art book. I got this on Game Teasy actually for like $30 shipped, so great site if you haven't checked it out already. Links in the description below. But this is a very traditional dungeon crawler first-person RPG. Punishingly difficult, but fortunately, as I said, this is a nice entry point because there's a casual mode that, is nice to newcomers and noobs like myself. Playing a game like this, it actually makes it quite enjoyable and, possible to actually complete the game. But if you're looking for an RPG to really sink some time into for, 50 plus hours, look no further because this game will take you at least 60 to 70 hours to complete. But really, really fun game and wonderful, wonderful music as well. Quite possibly one of my favorite collector's editions for the case alone, and that is Adventure Time, Hey Ice King, Why'd You Steal Our Garbage? Absolutely absurd in every sense of the word, but it is so much fun, incredibly short and easy, but for a game like this, I think that's okay. It basically mimics or mirrors the style of Zelda 2 on the NES in terms of play style. You traverse this overworld, going from dungeon to dungeon, and when you're actually in the dungeons, it's like a side-scrolling action beat-em-up platformer type of game. But really just absurd story. If you've seen the cartoon, you know what to expect. But Finn and Jake are just awesome title characters, and I cannot wait for the next Adventure Time game that I believe is coming to the Xbox 360, Wii U, and I'm not sure if it's coming to 3DS or not, but I hope it is because I believe it's supposed to kind of mirror more closely to Zelda 1 as opposed to Zelda 2. But this is an excellent game. I beat it in 2 sittings, which is telling of 2 things. One, I loved it that much, and also it only took me like 3 hours to complete. But still a really fun game and well worth picking up on either the DS or 3DS. The next one we have here is Kid Icarus, and why is this considered a special edition? Well, it's special because I haven't even played it or opened it yet. Pretty pathetic. So many people loved this game to death. Some even say that it's their favorite 3DS game, and I haven't even played it yet. No really reason why I haven't, but I've heard great things. I've heard the multiplayer online is excellent, and that it also is very similar to the Super Smash Bros. Games. So if that's the case, I'm looking forward to jumping online and also experiencing the campaign because I heard that's a lot of fun too. Alright, so those are all my collector's editions. Not many. There's still some of the, Shin Megami Tensei games that I haven't gotten the collector's editions for. I don't know if I ever will, but those are the ones that I have, and I'm happy to have those in my collection. But let's go ahead and get onto the regular titles here. We have Animal Crossing New Leaf, released not too long ago. Some people have already put in over 100 hours, which is beyond my comprehension. I was absolutely obsessed with this game when I first got it. It is very, very fun, very enjoyable, and definitely sucks you in when you first get it. You know, you're collecting bugs, you know, you're filling up your museum with all the bugs and fish and fossils and all this interesting stuff. You're the mayor of the town. It's really exciting stuff. But after 30 hours, the novelty really wore off for me. But if you're interested in those, you know, simulation type games, similar to Animal Crossing and The Sims and Rune Factory and Harvest Moon, definitely look no further. This game is a lot of fun and definitely makes visiting each other's towns and the online capabilities very interesting and user-friendly. So, Animal Crossing is a really great game, and I believe you can pick it up on Amazon right now for 30 bucks. So, well worth your money. A lot of fun. Now, I'm not a huge fighting fan. Tekken is my favorite fighting series of all time, and probably forever will be. But I was incredibly impressed with Dead or Alive Dimensions for the 3DS. It is the only game that I played with the 3D on because it actually added to the game experience, in my opinion, even if there was a frame rate drop. But there are a lot of interesting modes in this game, and a great variety of characters and stages to visit as well. So, if you're looking for a fighting game, you know, the 3DS, surprisingly, is not, you know, in short stock of those. There are quite a number of them. But Dead or Alive Dimensions is definitely a must-have if you're a fighting game fan, and isn't too punishingly difficult by any means, so it was also pretty newcomer-friendly. But definitely check out Dead or Alive Dimensions. A really fun game. The next one we have here is a game that I got pretty early on. I believe it was actually a launch title, and that's Pro Evolution Soccer 2011. I'm not a huge sports fan, but I do like getting a soccer game every now and then, especially for like the PSP kind of on the go. And I was always weary of getting a sports game for the DS because they were terrible. If you ever got Madden, it was atrocious. But Pro Evolution Soccer does everything right. Excellent graphics. It makes the controls very smooth and intuitive. It is really not hard to control at all and makes the simulation soccer game a lot of fun on the go. And I believe 2012 and maybe 2013 have already come out already as well. So you might want to pick up one of those games. But if you're looking for a cheap game, I'm sure you can get this for less than 10 bucks at GameStop. So, really fun game. Again, it's sadly been trashed since its release for a number of different reasons, is Resident Evil The Mercenaries 3D. I actually picked this game up with my 3DS and with absolutely no regrets. I thoroughly enjoyed this game. It is an arcade-like shooter. You're basically going through and just killing zombies in, you know, a certain period of time, and you get basically rewarded on your performance, on how fast you do it, and how you kill them, and all these other different things kind of come into play. And if you've played the Mercenaries mode in Resident Evil 4 or 5, you know exactly what you're getting into. But one of the major gripes was that you couldn't create 2 save files. So if you bought the game used, you kind of were forced to play the other person's profile. Because you couldn't start a new file, but you can still get this game brand new on Amazon for $20 or less, I believe, and I think it's a lot of fun. If you like the Mercenaries mode, definitely give it a go. You can even download it now through the 3DS eShop, which is probably the better route to go anyways, because it's just a really nice game to have, you know, to just play in little small bursts, but really a lot of fun. I enjoyed it. I don't think it deserves the flack that it got. And then, more Resident Evil love, we have Revelations with the correct spine title, not Revelatins, as the original Capcom fiasco went. But Revelations is a really great game, and of course has been already ported to the Wii U, Xbox 360, and PlayStation 3, and for a good reason, obviously. It's a great entry into the Resident Evil series, and I definitely think it's a nice mix of both classic survival horror, you know, suspense Resident Evil, with a few over-the-top Resident Evil 4 and 5 like moments mixed in as well. A great blend of both, you know, Resident Evils to appease both longtime fans and newcomers into the series, and with a challenging, super challenging campaign to boot. I played on the easiest difficulty, and I still found myself dying, you know, quite a number of times throughout the campaign. That could be telling of 2 things. 1, I'm terrible at video games, and 2, the game is actually pretty challenging, but a lot of fun at that. So definitely give Resident Evil Revelations a go, and you can get this game for less than $20 new on Amazon right now. The next game we have here is one that I sadly overlooked for a really long time. I did not pick it up at its release, but that is Super Mario 3D Land. An excellent platformer, certainly well worth a 3DS purchase for this game alone. It really is. Really creative level design, unbelievable music, superb platforming, and while many people were, all up in arms that it wasn't challenging enough, I felt that the pacing was awesome. I felt like that, the first few worlds, yeah, obviously it's going to be, a walk in the park, but as you progress through those levels, it was challenging, especially as you got to like World 7 and 8. I mean, it was pretty punishing, so I think it does, Mario everything right, and I'm looking forward to seeing how 3D World, turns out on the Wii U. I kind of would have liked to have seen a more Galaxy, Super Mario Sunshine-esque type of game, but, take it for what it is. Super Mario 3D Land, Super Mario 3D World, really great entries, and kind of that mix of 2D and 3D worlds makes for a really interesting platformer. So, of course, if you don't have 3D Land already, I don't know what you're doing, but it's a great game, so pick it up. The next game we have here, I have literally put minimal time into this entry just because I'm not a fan of this fighter, and that is Super Street Fighter 4 3D Edition. This, of course, was a launch title. This is what most people picked up their 3DS with, but I just haven't played it much because I'm not a huge Street Fighter fan. But I did play a little bit of it. The graphics are great. It definitely shows off what the 3DS can do with its 3D capabilities. And there's a lot of great characters, if you're a fan of Street Fighter in here. A great roster of characters. So it's fun, but it's just not really for me. And the next game we have here is, of course, a remake of one of the greatest N64 titles of all time. Not Zelda, we haven't gotten there yet, but Star Fox 64 3D. An awesome, awesome game. I'm hoping that the Wii U and even the 3DS can see another entry in the Star Fox series that really kind of mirrors what Star Fox 64 3D did, but also implement some of the things that Assault did, because I think that game has received way too much hate than it deserved, especially on the multiplayer front, because the multiplayer in Assault is amazing. But I digress. Super Mario 64 3D is a wonderful game, and if you haven't played it, playing it on the 3DS is definitely the ideal way to do it. An excellent game and well worth adding to your 3DS collection if it's not in there already. And then, of course, we have an RPG that was originally released on the PlayStation 2. Not many people are a huge fan, primarily because the protagonist can be pretty annoying the first 15 hours of the game, and I agree. That is Tales of the Abyss. I've only put 15 hours in, and I can tell you that I did enjoy it. The combat is amazing. For all Tales of fans, you know that action-like battle system is really, really fun. But the great thing about Tales of games are the dialogue between characters and those skits. It's a lot of fun to kind of see how the characters interact and their relationships as the game progresses. And this game's no exception. It's really a lot of fun. I definitely plan on going back and completing it because I've heard that, after that 10 to 15 hour mark, the main character becomes much more likable, and the story itself kind of opens up and gets much more interesting as well. But Tales of the Abyss, if you're looking for an RPG, definitely give this one a go. It is a lot of fun. We have Theatrhythm Final Fantasy. I cannot say enough great things about this game. Absolute best fan service for Final Fantasy fan that you could possibly ask for. And not only that, it's also one of the greatest rhythm games I've ever played. Not only on a handheld, but just of all time. It really is that good, and even if you're not a fan of Final Fantasy games, or if you haven't played many games in the series, don't let that shy you away from playing this game. It seriously requires you to not have played any of the Final Fantasy games, really. I've only played 2, really, to completion, and I had no problem playing this game and enjoying it to its absolute fullest. You could easily clock in over 100 hours, pumping just lots of grinding into this game. And I say grinding because you really do gain experience with your characters as the game goes on and you play each of these subsequent levels and different story arcs in each of the Final Fantasies. It's really, really cool how Square Enix did this, and I'm only hoping that they do this with, more of their games that have such well-orchestrated music. But Theatrhythm is definitely a must-pick-up game for all rhythm fans, and especially Final Fantasy fans. Last, but certainly not least, we have The Legend of Zelda: The Ocarina of Time 3D. This was the first time, admittedly, I know, this is crazy, but this is the first time that I played this game to its completion. And I think I spent about 20 to 23 hours it took me to actually beat this game. But now I finally understand why this game is so highly praised, and while so many people not only hold it as their, their favorite Zelda game, but also some people hold this game as their favorite game of all time. And upon playing this game, you can quickly, come to the realization that, for good reason, it is, from beginning to end, this game is just superb. From, visiting, the Deku Tree until the very end when you fight Ganon, just all the different dungeons, and just, being young Link and then getting the Master Sword. It's just so many great things, so many memorable moments. The music is just unbelievable in this game. I cannot think of a game where I can literally name the tunes as I go through the game. I know the names of the songs. It's that good. You just become so engrossed in this adventure, and it really is such an amazing game, and experiencing it on the 3DS is really the ideal way to do it. But you can also play this game on the N64 as it was originally released, the Wii Virtual Console. There are so many different ways you can play this game on the GameCube. However you can get your hands on this game, please play Zelda: The Ocarina of Time. It is a masterpiece. Alright guys, so that's my 3DS collection. I know there are a number of games that are lacking from this video, so please, shoot me comments, shoot me hate. What do I need to get? Fire Emblem Awakening, Shin Megami Tensei 4, Luigi's Mansion 2, New Super Mario Bros. 2. I know, I'm crazy. I don't have all these first-party games, and some of these, crazy RPGs that I should be getting. But, a guy only has so much money, you know what I'm saying? So, let me know some of the stellar titles that you think I should get, but also, let me know some of the 3DS eShop releases that you think I should get, because while it did take a while for the 3DS eShop to pick up speed, I think that it is anything but lacking in amazing software from what I hear, from VVV, to Mighty Switch Force, to, Liberation Maiden, some of these obscure games like Attack of the Friday Night Monsters, or whatever the heck that game is called, Crimson Shroud. There are all these really interesting games on the 3DS eShop that I haven't checked out yet. So drop a few comments, let me know some of your favorite standout games for the 3DS that I should be looking into. And if you have any questions or anything, feel free to do a video response as always. I want to thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you next time.